Hey, today we're going to be reading Chicken Soup for Little Souls, The Never Forgotten Doll by Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen, illustrated by Mary O'Keefe Young. So if we look at the front cover and we see the title and we look at the illustration, what do you think the story is going to be about? I see a little girl and I see her looking at maybe a shop window at a doll. So what do y'all think the story is going to be about? So, the forgotten doll. "Ellie, what a surprise," said Miss Maggie when she opened the door. She always said that, even though I came every day after school. "I've just made cookies," she said. "Will you help me eat a few?" Miss Maggie was the best sitter I'd ever had, and I'd had a lot. Mom called her my adopted grandmother, but I didn't know you could adopt a person so old. So it says that Ellie's mother called Miss Maggie her adopted grandmother. What do y'all think adopted grandmother means? When I was a little girl, I had a neighbor, and my mother called her my surrogate grandmother because my actual grandparents weren't around a lot, so she kind of stepped in for them. So that's what I think it might mean. Miss Maggie's just stepping in and pretending to be a grandmother. "Tell me a story from when you were little," I begged Miss Maggie for the gazillionth time. "Wonderful idea. What should the story be about today?" she asked between sips of hot cocoa. I tried to think up a new story starter. Miss Maggie's stories were the best. "I know," I said. "Tell me about your favorite toy." Miss Maggie thought for a moment, then frowned. "I should warn you, this one isn't a happy story." "It's okay. Tell me," I said. On my 8th birthday, I opened a present that I will never forget. She was the most beautiful doll I had ever seen. Her big blue eyes opened and closed on a real china face. She wore a fancy white dress with lace trim, and her long brown hair was tied back with a pink satin ribbon. Owning a doll like that was a dream come true for a poor farm girl like me. I knew my parents couldn't afford fine things. How much they must have loved me to have spent their hard-earned money on such a luxury. Miss Maggie got a misty-eyed look in her eyes. I was extra careful with her all morning. Dolls back then were very fragile. Their faces were made of the most delicate china. I still remember how magical it felt just to hold her. She was the most wonderful thing I had ever owned. My mother lit the candles on my birthday cake and called me to the kitchen. I laid her down gently on the hallway table, but as I went to join my family for my birthday song, we heard the crash. I knew without looking that it was my precious doll. Her lace dress had hung from the table just enough for my baby sister to reach up and pull on it. When I ran to the hall, there was my doll, her face smashed into pieces. My mother tried to glue her up, but it couldn't be done. She was gone forever. Boys and girls, have you ever had a sibling, a brother or sister, or a friend hurt something or break something that meant a lot to you that you loved? How did it make you feel when they hurt or broke that object? I'd never seen a look like that on Miss Maggie's face. I wrapped my arms around her neck and hugged her tight. The rest of the day we practiced my spelling words and played games, but I couldn't stop thinking about how unhappy Miss Maggie had looked remembering her broken doll. Later that night, Mom said, "Saturday is Miss Maggie's birthday. Why don't you and I bake her a cake and bring it over there?" "Oh, Mom, that's perfect," I said. "Miss Maggie was real sad today, and that's just the thing to cheer her up." The next day after school, I found an even better thing. I was walking to Miss Maggie's, just like always, when I saw a doll in the window of Mulligan's Collectibles. She looked really old, and she had on a white lacy dress. Her hair was blonde, not brown, and there was no pink satin ribbon. But I thought Miss Maggie might like her anyway. I went in and asked Mr. Mulligan, "The doll in the window, do her eyes open and close?" Mr. Mulligan said, "Yes, they do, but that's not a doll for little girls like you. That's an antique. Grown-ups collect them." "Oh, it's not for me. I want to buy that doll for my friend, Miss Maggie," I explained. "That's an awfully expensive present. Maybe Miss Maggie would like one of these embroidered handkerchiefs instead." Mr. Mulligan held up a dumb white hanky with flowers on it. "How much for that doll?" I asked him in my most grown-up voice. "Well, she's not in the best shape. I suppose I could let you have her for $35. My eyes bugged about a mile. Where would I ever get $35? So if you were Ellie, or if you were trying to buy this doll yourself, how would you get the money? How would you get that $35 to pay for that doll?" That night, I tried Mom. "May I have $35 to buy Miss Maggie a birthday present?" I asked, real casual. Mom laughed. "It's sweet that you want to buy a gift for your friend, but I'm sure the birthday cake we're making will be enough." I begged and pleaded, but the best I could get out of my mom was, "If you really want to give Miss Maggie a gift that badly, we'll go shopping Saturday morning, but we just can't afford to spend $35. I'm sorry, darling, but we just can't." How would you have felt if your mom said that? I knew no other gift would do, so I emptied my elephant bank and counted my money. I had exactly $8.49. It was already Thursday. There was no time to save up anymore, and I put the $8.49 in a sock and folded it up. I had a plan, but I wasn't sure it would work. On Friday, after school, I went to see Mr. Mulligan. "I really need that doll, Mr. Mulligan," I said. "I have $8.49 to pay right now, and I will help out at your store every weekend until I have paid the rest of the money, which will probably be forever." Mr. Mulligan scratched his head. "After you asked about that doll yesterday, I went to take another look at her, and it's the darndest thing. She's more damaged than I thought. One of my workers must have laid her head on some wet wood stain. The back of her hair is just ruined. I don't know who's going to pay that much for her now. I reckon if you need her that badly, I can consider $8.49 a fair price." "You got a deal," I shouted. When Mr. Mulligan took down the doll and showed me her ruined hair, I got the best idea ever. So what all did Ellie go through to get the doll? She went through lots of different steps. She went and asked how much the doll was. And then she went home and asked her mom for the money for the doll, and her mom said no. So then she counted her own money, and then she decided, "I'll just go tell him I'll pay this much and work the rest." And she got lucky, and she just got the doll for her $8.49. The time passed slowly at Miss Maggie's that afternoon. When she asked me what was in the bag, I told her it was a secret, and she mustn't look inside. "Aren't you mysterious today?" she teased. When I got home, I raced back to my room and unwrapped the doll. I took out my brown magic marker. I laid the doll down and spread out her hair on a piece of construction paper. Then, very, very carefully, I colored all of her blonde hair brown and stained the part that was disappeared, and she was even better than the doll Miss Maggie remembered. There was only one thing missing, and I knew where to get it. I took my favorite and only party dress out of the closet and laid it on my bed. There, right at the neck, was a pink satin ribbon. I cut it off with my safety scissors, being careful just to cut the threads that held it on, and not the dress. I tied it in the doll's new brown hair. She was perfect. What would Mom say when I found that I cut my dress, though? On Saturday, we went to see Miss Maggie. "Ellie, what a surprise," she said. For once, I think she meant it. Mom and I marched in singing "Happy Birthday to You." I could hardly wait till the song was over to give Miss Maggie her present. Miss Maggie carefully pulled back the tissue paper. When she finally saw the doll, her eyes filled with tears. "Ellie," she whispered, "where on earth? Is it close?" I asked. "Is it like the doll that got broken?" "She is exactly like my doll," Miss Maggie said, without once taking her eyes off the present. "But where did you ever find her, and how did you ever afford her?" Mom was looking at me like she wanted to know the same thing, so I told them both the whole story. When I got to the part about my dress, I asked Mom, "Are you mad?" Mom squeezed my hand and her voice cracked when she told me, "No, sugar, I'm not mad." A tear ran down Miss Maggie's face and she said, "Now I know how it is possible that this doll looks just like the one I held in my arms exactly 80 years ago today. Both dolls were gotten from pure love, and love, wherever it comes from, always looks the same." What do you think Miss Maggie meant when she said, "Love, wherever it comes from, always looks the same"? What do you think she meant when she said that to Ellie? The cake was delicious, and Miss Maggie said it was her favorite birthday yet. The end. Thanks for listening.